Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank the attendees and Dr. Bermea. These research that you're doing is so incredible, and Kirsten, the work you're doing in Ethiopia is so inspiring, and I'm excited to hear all of your stories throughout the day. So thanks so much. And I also want to thank the Notre Dame Young Alumni Board for putting all this together. So how about a round of applause for that group of... Okay, well, my name's Matt Conaghan. I graduated back in 2015 and work with a company called Change Donations over in Dublin, Ireland. In my Notre Dame journey, it starts out pretty standard, I think. You know, you come to campus, you love it, you go to the football games, you go to the Golden Dome. I was fortunate enough to be in Keenan Hall, where I got to write for an event called the Keenan Review. So it's kind of like a mini SNL Notre Dame edition where we got to be creative and write these outlandish sketches and ride a tandem bicycle down a crowded auditorium, which was pretty fun. But then there are aspects of Notre Dame that not everybody knows about, but you really have to be here to feel it. And I think it's that value, the ethos, the mission of the campus. And I walked around yesterday and I saw Touchdown Jesus. I went to the grotto. I ended up serendipitously meeting a priest who runs Bengal bouts, and he wanted to join our donation platform. It's just this magical place where you just feel inspired. It feels this ethereal essence where Notre Dame seems to be floating above the rest of the world. And it's something you really can't put into words. And while I was here, I also had the opportunity to take a course called Confronting Homelessness. So in that course, we talked about the cycle of homelessness. We chatted about how we can mitigate the adverse effects of homelessness. And that also opened up some opportunities to volunteer at the South Bend Center for the Homeless. So for 2 years, I would go to the center and we would chat with the residents, have these great conversations. We would work on resumes together. I would borrow my roommate's beat-up car and we would drive around and drop resumes off at different places around South Bend. And it was a really just eye-opening opportunity and a great time. And then Father Hesburgh, of course, I was fortunate enough to meet him, to hear him speak. And I was able to go to his celebration of life where you saw senators and former US presidents and esteemed theologians all just revere and talk about how wonderful this man is who dedicated his entire life to the University of Notre Dame. And I think that's really special. And Father Hesburgh always talked about leading by example. He's got this great quote where he says, "Our words are buttressed by our deeds, and our deeds are inspired by our convictions." And so I thought, I'm graduating. What can I do to leave my mark? How can I make the world a better place? And I said, I think I've got it. So I packed up my things, moved to Chicago, and I started writing commercials for Olive Garden. Mission accomplished. So, you know, did we solve world peace? No. But did we solve world hunger? Also no, but we're trying. And I loved working in advertising. I mean, the ability to be creative and write as a job was just a blessing. It was incredible. But I think much like the Olive Garden breadsticks, it got a little stale after a while. And I'll never forget this. I was sitting in a meeting, and people were yelling back and forth. I was sitting in my chair, and they were arguing, just screaming about the difference between unlimited breadsticks and endless breadsticks. This was a real argument going on. And people are like throwing fits, and I kind of lean back in my chair, and I think, is this really what I'm doing with my life? Is this, what Father Hesburgh would want? And serendipitously, my brother calls me that day, and I'm just like, oh man, work's been interesting. I don't feel very fulfilled. And my brother, Willie Conaghan, he's over there in Dublin. He's studying at Trinity College in Dublin. And he calls me up, he's very excited, and he goes, Matty, you know this donation idea that we've been talking about for years and something we've been really excited about? It is coming to life in Dublin. It's becoming a reality. So Lizzie Hayashida, our CEO, and Willie, they said, hey, this company is coming to life. You should come to Ireland and help this Change community grow and build a community of everyday donors. So 2 weeks later, I bought a one-way flight and I moved to Ireland. I was able to get my master's at Trinity College. I became an adjunct professor, but most importantly, I was able to help Change Donations grow, and we brought on new charities, and it was this really incredible time to work at a startup in a different country. And so what Change Donations is we are a platform, we're a digital tool that helps nonprofits of all sizes grow with the power of digital spare change. So this digital spare change, if you're familiar with Acorns or something like that, it's the ability to round up digital change to support the cause that you care about most. So if you're going to Starbucks to buy a coffee for $2.80 or the Notre Dame bookstore to buy a coffee for $52.80, and you round it up using change donations, those 20 cents will automatically be donated to the cause that you've picked beforehand. So another great thing is that you can boost donations at any time in one tap at any amount. So you have it at your fingertips to just make a difference in a tap. But what I really love about change donations is the ability to give every purchase a purpose and add a little generosity to every day. Because as much as these nonprofits are being supported by the spare change, it's also a really beneficial, event for yourself. Just these simple, mundane activities as buying something now become sort of a little dose of kindness and inspiration where you feel that positivity and it starts to ruminate and become this domino effect of feeling better every day. And something that I really love about change donations is, we work with really big nonprofits like the Red Cross or UNICEF and things like that, but it's these smaller charities that you can feel the impact that change donations can make for them. So we work with an animal shelter out in Galway. It's a mom and pop shop, and they have 2 people running it. It's one house, and they're able to feed a majority of their dogs with the power of spare change. And then the National Park Trust, we work with them, and we're able to go on these great shoots and make great content with the National Park Trust and work together in this really great cohesive partnership. And then back in Dublin, this is one of our favorite, I'm not supposed to be biased, but they're great. They're called Flossie and the Beach Cleaners, and this 14-year-old girl, Flossie, she is Ireland's Greta Thunberg, and basically she goes out every day and she cleans Ireland's beaches. And so as a team, Lizzie, Willie, and myself will go out and we'll help volunteer and we'll clean the beaches with Flossie and her parents and the group that she's kind of brought together, and then the spare change donations that they receive go to the supplies that are so necessary in keeping these beaches clean. So, being able to see the impact, to, contribute to it, it's just so fulfilling, and there's really nothing else I'd rather be doing. And I could go on and on about these nonprofits we support, but it's also been really great to see how, publications like Forbes or the Irish Independent or Wired magazine have really started catching on to the idea of donating digital spare change. It's really starting to catch hold in Ireland. And when we think about the notion of small change, big impact, I think that it goes beyond the fiscal realm. And when you look at a nonprofit like the Special Olympics, how these small acts, how a Special Olympics athlete can go out on the field for one play, or they'll be a part of one event, that can lead to another event, and then build these skills and leadership skills to enter the workforce or gain that independence too. And it creates that larger impact that we really love to see. And then we have other Notre Dame charities on board too. I don't know, I guess the Young Alumni Committee might recognize Scott Kappa in that lower left corner, but he started a nonprofit called Puente, and he was in the Dome or Dozen about 2 years ago. And we work with them fairly consistently as they help bring aid into the Dominican Republic. And so we're able to have this immediate connection where we say, hey, our spare change donations have built X, Y, and Z for this community, and we can share about it right there. It's this immediacy that really wasn't possible 15, 20 years ago. So we're just excited to be on the front side of that. And I guess in closing, for my Notre Dame path, looking back to 2014 when I was in a classroom in the main building talking about homelessness, to now working with dozens of homeless shelters, helping them thrive with digital spare change, it's really an honor. And I'm very happy to hear from you all today and chat with you today, and thank you so much.